Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. This is GGF bringing you episode 55 of Let's Play Pillars of Eternity. Mashallah, bong bong. Hope you guys are doing well. Ready to check out some more Pillars of Eternity sweetness. We're in the Brackenbury district, and we were just about to head into the sanitarium, which should be an interesting...
I'll grant you that animancy has had its failures, Balreach among them. But does that warrant attacks on innocent practitioners? Superstitious kith have spilled their share of blood.
That's no comparison. Animancers have the advantage of education, and with that comes authority and responsibility.
I have to say, it's wonderful to have someone to debate with. You'd think they'd be more welcoming of it at the Law College.
Or we could enjoy a glass of wine and a comfortable silence.
Now let's enter the sanitarium of Brackenbury in Defiance Bay. Oh, we've got level ups. Retrieve Helig's research from Moadrid's laboratory.
I'll take a peek.
Let's see what we've got here. Sanitarium guards. Sometimes we get people in here trying to make trouble for the animancers. This table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets with titles like Practical Benefits of Animancy and Soul Adjustment for the Well-Adjusted Soul. The head warden of the sanitarium is a statue, quite remarkable. They say the worst of the patients are kept up locked up below. Animancy means progress and experimentation. Unfortunately, that makes some people uncomfortable. Verna, the most unfortunate tale of Favia and Bernat, a Valiant tragedy. We do have to read some books soon. Let's talk to Verna. Oh, Vibrant Soul. You sense a strange divide in this woman's soul, an unnatural boundary between two opposed wills. See the woman pausing by a roadside to hand something to the driver of a stopped wagon. These herbs should help with his party's sickness, she tells him. You can find more along the road, easy to spot with their serrated leaves. But avoid the ones with the green berries. It's a different species, toxic. He thanks her and offers her coin, but she waves him off, explaining that she is merely doing what her order asks of her. He nods and she heads off down the road as he begins to hungrily consume the herb. You see the woman searching alongside the road now, the wagon just up the path, and you realize you have skipped backward in her memory. She sets eyes on a plant with serrated leaves and green berries. She picks several handfuls, tearing the berries off one by one and tossing them to the ground. She nudges them off the path into the brush quickly with her boot without looking down, as if to hide them from her own sight, before striding back towards the wagon, hands outstretched. Oh, that's just plain evil. Can we attack her for that?
I'm on the trail.
Warden, an animancer from the Republic, Spancello, has requested a visit. Extend a formal invitation. See to it the necessary preparations are made. Of course. Animancer. Nobles. This man's soul was torn asunder by a bivouac. As you can see, the patient is unresponsive, common after soul trauma. The animancer places a small stone upon the patient's forehead. A portion of his soul was recovered near his body. We use this stone as a vessel for transfer. Can you hear me, Oswin? The patient's eyes slowly open before a panicked, wild expression washes over him. Unfortunately, the extended disassociation has permanent side effects. Dissociation. The patient becomes more agitated, grunting and moaning as he tugs at his bonds. With further research, we're confident we'll be able to rehabilitate patients like Oswin. Here we have a bookcase with St. Widewind Farmer become became God. Everlasting life. Imagine the possibilities. I heard that someone who was treated here came out twice as smart. This table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets with titles like Practical Benefits of Animancy. Oh yeah, we read that.
Well met,
Admer.
friend.
A bald man with a crooked nose gestures in demonstration over the still body of a patient. Before a small gathering of interested onlookers, feeling your gaze, he pauses his discussion. Have you come to sit in? What is it you do here? Close as we are to the Glonfothan wilds, we get a number of biowac maimings every year. Survivors dealing with complications from exposure. This fellow here is a severe case. His essence is a mere whisper of what it was. I am early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work, but in time I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm's effects.
Gods keep you.
Can I be of some use to you? I'd like to know more about the sanitarium. He gives an eager nod. It's the mission that attracted me here. The treatment of the disturbed. No one else seems to care about them. Here, they've worked wonders for them. I've seen people cured of insatiable hungers and uncontrollable urges. I've seen the crippled walk and the dysphoric smile, all within these walls. The thought that the Duke could put an end to it with a single order keeps me up at night. Keeps me up nights.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
We'll talk to the statue in due time. Let's go over here. Yarmid and an Animancer. What your soul may be trying to tell you. You're welcome to browse. The spread of knowledge is a healthy thing, don't you agree? Oh, we didn't open that one. Let's come up here. Free books. Animancy in the modern age. The Animancer straightens his robes and gives you a nod. Feel free to look around. You might be able to see a demonstration. The Midwife's Memoirs. Psalms to Wodiga. We see quite a few Brackenbury locals for treatment. It helps fund our research. Yarmid. You see a dark room with garish furnishings, a large bed covered with pillows, several couches, and expensive rugs. This man is sitting in a chair pushed against the wall of the room opposite the door. He's dressed in dark clothes with a black cloak wrapped around his shoulders, its hood pulled close around his face. Shadows fall across him, the darkness rendering him virtually invisible. Two other men wait in the darkness with him, watching the door. All three are motionless. Noise from the crowded common room below echoes up through the floorboards. The handle rattles. A man staggers in, dragging a young woman with him. The two standing men exchange a quick glance, one of them tilting his head and shrugging only slightly before jumping to the task at hand. One steps forward, grabbing the girl's wrist, wrenching it from her escort's hold with one hand while pushing the door closed with the other. Then that hand is over the girl's mouth before she's even aware she's in someone else's arms. He takes a dagger from its place on his belt and draws it. He holds her still, waits for the struggles. The other standing man has already subdued their target, now tied to a chair, arms and legs bound with a rag stuffed in his mouth. The girl, no longer moving, is placed under the bed, the man who dealt with her taking his place beside the other. They stare down at the man screaming against the cloth, but the muffled sound is unheard over the raucous noise of the crowd below. One of the men begins murmuring softly, putting his hand under the chin of the man in the chair. There's a brief flash of light, and the man stops struggling, a suddenly placid look in his eyes. The two captors ask various questions that the bound man answers happily. After they finish, the two look to the man sitting against the wall. He has not moved as the events transpired before him, but only sat, silently observing everything as it happened. He stands, holding the cloak closed around himself, and nods to the two men. He then walks to the door, opens it only far enough to allow himself to exit, and leaves them to finish their task. Oh, yikes. Some really evil peeps, man, in this place. I mean, just in Eoras in general. I shouldn't mind being better armed, so what if it makes the clients a little nervous? A lot of wicked souls. Sagani, Nazatok Poetry, a compilation. Lost my light. 1 second, guys. Oh, I wouldn't mind being better armed. Yeah, we've got a lot of books to read, actually. The Deer dialects. Animancy in the Modern Age. That's a pretty long one. Gotta read them soon because we're running out of space here. Nazatok Poetry. We saw this. We read this before. So this can be sold. Psalm to Wotica. Ye exiles, ye broken, fear not the vengeance of the burned queen. She watches from her throne, ever vigilant. She hears the oath thou doth speak at her altar. She hears the oath thou dost speak in thine home. She hears the oath thou dost speak in the dark. For ye who would keep thy word, thou shalt escape the justice of her gaze. Beware, ye liars, ye unfaithful. Beware, ye with the hardened heart. Beware, for the eye of Wotica will not be blinded. She hears the sundered oath. She is not fooled by the winding path. She attends the broken promise. She sees the deceiver. There is no shadow too dark. Her gaze will find thee. Her justice will not be restrained. The fires of justice will never be quenched. The throne will crack. The law will burn. But the queen that always was will be. Speak not an untruth, or thy tongue will be bound. Remember thy place. Remember thine oath. Remember thine queen. Bit creepy, but kind of, really cool. Farmer become God, another sellable. The queen that was and still is. Dear sisters, do you still remember your first deliverance when you strangled your first wrongdoer? Did you see the moment when life became death? Could you see the instance when your victim realized that Wotica forgets nothing? When Wotica takes back her throne, will you face her with pride, knowing you have held to your own oaths? Or will you be amongst the word breakers? Wotica teaches vengeance and memory. And while she is in exile, we must be her eyes and ears that let no injustice slip from record. We must be clenched fist that silences the lying breath. When Wotica takes back her throne, all of the injustices that have slipped through the cracks of history will be righted. The villains hiding in plain sight amongst the innocent will feel the burned queen's choking grasp. Pray that you live to see the day when you will join our queen in the cleansing of the wicked. But know, my sisters, that we must be ready to see the end of our days without the return of our queen, for she will take back her throne, but it may be our daughters that serve the restored court. We must continue to live as we always have lived, hated by the other faiths, even though we place justice above our own well-being. At least the empire of Adir still holds our creed in proper esteem. It is a proper sign of respect that, by imperial custom, our clergy must oversee a contract for it to be legally binding, for who else understands the value of remembering one's oaths than Wotica's faithful? And let us not count our current blessings, for we still enjoy the support of the Paladin Order of the Steel Garrote. They too understand that society is built and broken by the oaths and rules of its people. When Wotica takes back her throne, my family will know that I was right to commit my life to the exiled queen. When Wotica takes back her throne, the Strangler will stop being a story told to frighten our daughters, but a hero woven into parables that teach our children justice. When Wotica takes back her throne, she will bring her flawless memory with her. Every transgression, every crime, and every injustice will be revealed. When Wotica takes back her throne, even gods won't be spared their due retribution. Super cool. We're going to have to sell some of this stuff. I'll sell the fine male armor. The midwife's memoirs. My mother lived every note of life's song. Bringing me into this world was her last verse. For this, my father scorned me and abandoned me. And for this very same fact, my town's midwife and adherent of Helia raised me as her own. When I came of age, I learned that Helia visits us on the screams of women in childbirth, and when a woman dies giving life to her child, her soul is carried away and reborn as an avian attendant of Helia's court. Through the miracle of the Queen of Birds, my mother has been with me, watching over me my whole life. I wear the fetish charms of the cloud singer, the bird I dreamt my mother became. My feathery trinkets look gaudy and unbecoming, but it is a signifier to women in need that I am a trained midwife, blessed by Helia and living every note of life's song. The Queen of Birds wills us to shepherd new life into the world, and not, as the other gods so often desire, to end it. A follower of Mogren once mocked my faith, saying I worship paintbrushes and birds, piddling things beneath the gods. I do not resent the other gods and the brutal necessities that they must oversee. But is not language, love, the arts, and creativity that which separates us from simple beasts? Helia allows us to rise above our savage, feral selves. I'm often amused that, upon seeing our holy aviaries, visitors frequently ask, "This is nice, but where's the real temple of Helia?" Perhaps they think hollowed ground requires oppressive stoneworks and ceilings that hide the sky. They do not realize that the Bird Queen stands not on ceremony. She makes herself manifest in the music of birds and in the beauty of the ubiquitous open sky. Helia prefers worship of 2 children singing over 1,000 petitioners silently praying for victory. The Sky Mother asks so little of us and yet so much. We are charged to live every note of life's song. It surprises me how many fail to embrace this divine calling. Helia is indeed very cool. Where did I read that? Right here. We'll put that in right there. Stories from the Living Lands. True stories from the Living Lands. That sounds cool. Book of the Hunt. Lots of good ones to read. Most Unfortunate Tale. One of these can be sold for 16. Let's see. Farman's Curse. Maybe we should take a break and go sell some stuff, guys, and see what we can afford to buy. Back in Copper Lane. Who's got the Spirit Shield? Gold Minelet's Bounding Missiles requires 6 lore. Connor can cast it. So let's take out the Potion of Major Regen. Give him that, and Major Regen can go to Adair for those potions. Go to Sagani. 5 of them anyway. 1 to me. Let's see, what else? 2 traps. Minor Cloak of Protection. We'll just stick that in the stash for now. Prayer Against Restraint. Immune to Hobbled and Stuck for 27 seconds. Prayer Against Infirmity. Immune to Sickened and Weakened. These we can pretty much stash. Although keep that one handy. Let's read True Stories from the Living Lands. Only the hardiest of explorers would dare take the long, dangerous trek to the Living Lands. That's where Avowed takes place, by the way, guys. While there is no denying its beauty, the diversity of plant life alone is an herbologist's dream. The inherent risk in blithely trekking through these pristine hills is more than most should undertake. Let me take a moment to tell you about the land itself. Rolling hills, greenery, and sun. The whole area feels like a succession of hills and valleys, each with its own ecosystem. While the declaration is a tad extreme, it can almost be said to be true. The combination of sun, geographical location, proximity to fresh water, valley depth, and the existence of hot springs have given the Living Lands a wide breadth of flora and fauna. Walk down a hillside into a valley and you will find lush fern and hills. Climb the next rise and you might see nothing but rock and boiling mineral springs. And the creatures. In my travels, I've seen it all, and this place never ceases to amaze me. Trolls. I'll never forget my encounter with the trolls of the Living Lands. I had just narrowly avoided being consumed by a giant plant, more on that later. I was running as fast as I could to get away from it. I broke the crest of the hill, and the valley below was wide, green, wet, and covered with low, thick-branched trees. Vines grew everywhere. Between the trees, across the tops of them, down to the ground, it was a mess of vine and green. Cautiously, I worked my way down toward the basin, keeping an eye out for anything suspicious, and it's a good thing I did so. I noticed not all the trees appeared to be trees. I froze, dropping to the ground in an effort to minimize my appearance. One of the trees moved, lumbering slowly away from the cluster. It's then that I realized it was a troll stepping out from among the group of trees it had been resting against. With a few more steps, I would have walked right into their home. The camouflage these trolls exhibited far exceed any I had ever seen before. I hope to return again in the future and observe them more. Insects. While I've never seen them, I have read reports of giant insects in the Living Lands. Centipedes, flies, mosquitoes, and hornets, all 10 times the size. You would see them elsewhere. Imagine making camp. You've just gotten everything set up. There's a nice fire going next to your shelter. Something is gently simmering on the cooking pot. You sit down, finally feeling like you can relax after a trying day. You feel a tickling at your feet, insistent and prolonged. Reaching down to brush whatever it is away, your hand comes in contact with something hard, long and flexible, winding its way around your boot. You look down to see a centipede the size of your arm casually making its way over your feet. Oh my gosh, that's horrific. Toward the far side of your camp. You would get out of that camp, wouldn't you? That's exactly what my friend did when he realized he had started his fire over a centipede nest. Oh my gosh. Plants. Unless we forget, do not let your guard down around the plants. I discovered a wonderful collection of giant flowers. They were bright pink and grew in a circle around a central stalk. What an aroma. I lacked the words to describe how delectable it was. Sweet, fruity, and light with just a hint of something tangy. Looking closer, I saw some berries growing on the stalk in the center of the flowers. Well, I just had to have them, so I started pushing my way through the flowers. Then the vines growing around the base of the plant began to twitch, and the blooms turned toward me. It was at that moment I saw the blooms weren't actually flowers, but hinged jaws. I had been fooled by its camouflage. I quickly retreated, pushing my way back out just in time. The blooms slammed shut. If I had still been standing there trying in vain to reach the berries, I wouldn't be writing this book today. Well, and I have to play more Avowed, actually. After playing a bunch of this, it's definitely a good break in the action to do that. Let's read one more and then we're done. Glanfath Part 2, Conflict and Unexpected Alliance. In 2652, everything started to deteriorate. It was uncovered that a number of ruined sites had been looted, and all signs pointed to the adherents breaking the treaty. Glanfathans held off judgment for as long as they could, but when the evidence became overwhelming, they retaliated with all the strength they could muster. Regd once again took up the mantle of leadership and led his people against the adherents. Instead of facing Edrang Hadrit again, this time Regd crossed swords with Admeth Hadrit, Edrang's son. Admeth proved to be just as, if not more, capable than his father, and used a tactic no Glanfathan expected. In order to clear out the battlefield and ensure there would be no place for troops to hide, Admeth set the entire forest on fire near the Ishe Uar River and blocked all retreating forces with his army. While some escaped the slaughter, most of the Glanfathan troops died. Regd was captured in the mayhem and transferred to New Haomar for holding. While many more battles occurred, some of which resulted in Admeth using the same tactic, the Glanfathan forces were now disorganized and had lost their resolve. They were easily routed, and by the end of that same year, the War of the Black Trees, as it's now known, was over. In order to again repair relations between the two groups, Admeth introduced new laws restricting the taking of new slaves from Glanfath. The laws also gave the Glanfathans the opportunity to buy their fellows out of bondage. While not entirely happy with the prospect of having to buy their countrymen who had already been free, the Glanfathans took the gesture as the goodwill it was and ceased their hostilities again. 7 years passed with the Deerwood under Admeth's rule. The Glanfathans felt for the first time that true peace could return to their land. This peace led to what is likely the biggest treaty negotiation between Eric Glonfoth and the Deerwood in its history. Admeth set into place the 10 Years Treaties, so named because it had been 10 years since the War of Black Trees. A timeline was set, and at the end of it all, Glonfoth and slaves had to be released. The citizens of Eric Glonfoth watched the Deerwood with a cautious hope. With the extended peace between the two peoples and these new treaties, they truly hoped conflict was a thing of the past. In 2665, Galvin Medra, an elven woman who had taken over for Reg, brought news to Admeth. Some Deerwooden people were found taking artifacts from one of the tombs. Initial investigations uncovered several more that had already been plundered. As they seemed to be isolated incidents and it had been stopped early, Medra did not want a war to start again after being so long at peace. Admeth was grateful for this courtesy and wasted no time tracking down who was responsible. Medra and Admeth gave Admeth use of her Brishogwin mind hunters, and with their help found evidence pointing directly back to the Ferkening. Admeth and Medra, now jointly allied against the Adiran Ferkening, used everything at their disposal to prevent the Ferkening's agents from getting into the ruins. In 2668 AI, when Admeth declared independence from Adir to create the Free Palatinate of Deerwood, the Glonfothans stood behind him, offering their support and troops. While the war didn't affect the Glonfothan people directly, there were casualties. In the end, the Deerwooden people became free, and the bond between the two people was strengthened through their shared suffering. Admeth became the beloved as the ruler of the Deerwood, known and respected by Deerwoodens and Glonfothans alike. And we can sell that one as well. Put this one up here, right? And I guess that's all we'll read for now. Get the books together. Alright. Let's see. Go further up. I guess we can go down below too at some point. This painting has a rolling forest glen. Has a strangely soothing effect. Much by design, I'm sure. Are we in here? No. A book. Adira Customs. These look like field sketches of Engwithan ruins and artifacts. Alright, let's talk to the statue. Head Warden Ethelmore. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down unblinking over the bustle of harried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it that you can sense from across the room. There is a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel its attention turned towards you. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. His voice echoes deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? I'm curious how you come to be in your present state. In this statue, you mean? Well, he laughs, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me, a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somehow, someday, I would wake up in a new body none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again, one of our animancers will humor me and consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Tell tell me about the sanitarium. A history lesson. This is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We're an old institution as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favored souls came to populate its streets in droves. Thus the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion in animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time it was forgotten, as all things are. Since then we have been at the forefront of animancy's resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers, and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and while we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, preservation, it's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today it's, well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy, and they see it involves something they don't understand. So it's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at a hearing before the Duke, absurd as it sounds. If it does not go well, it could be the end of animancy in Deerwood. I fear Avar must be swayed by all this unrest, irrational though it may be. We shall see. I'm looking for an animancer named Moadred. Moadred, of course. You will find him downstairs in the first room on the right. Very well. Interesting stuff. We're going to level up for something different. Be right back, guys. Alright, we are back. Yeah, let's go ahead and maybe... We could go downstairs and search for Moadred. But let's see what our level up looks like. Lore, mechanics. Let's get a point of mechanics. Bonus first level spell, second level spell. I don't even know what his spells really look like all that much because we haven't been using them at all. But I should start using them soon. The one-handed style, which gives 15% of hits converted to crits with one-handed melee weapons with the lovely measured restraint weapon. Wow, some new stuff here. Mental Fortress, plus 10 defense against Charmed, Terrified, Frightened, Dominated, Confused. Body Control, plus 10 defense against Paralyzed, Weakened, Stunned, Sickened, Petrified. Unstoppable, 10 defense against Blinded, Stuck, Prone, Hobbled, and Dazed. Superior Deflection, plus 5 deflection. Not actually quite sure what to get. A bonus spell only? Doesn't seem all that exciting. Acolyte's Radiance. Apprentice's Sneak Attack. Enigma's Charm. Similar to a Paladin's Zealous Focus. We should probably take that. Friendly aura of 2.5 meters plus 4 accuracy. Because we don't have a Paladin anymore. The character's intense beliefs have manifested as an aura with properties similar to a Paladin's Zealous Focus. Prestidigitator's missiles. Outlander's Frenzy. Oh, this is suffering. Let's see what else we can go for here. Maybe give him skill with a rapier. Adventurer, Knight, Noble. Rapier, +6 accuracy. Savage attack, 20% damage, -5 melee accuracy. Venom strike, 3 per rest. Does raw damage over time. I'm not going to build around this weapon because it's subject to change at some point. Beast Slayer. Interrupting blows. Vulnerable attack. +8 deflection, -20% attack speed. A modal. Character attacks from a defensive posture, taking care to never expose vulnerable openings. From this stance, characters receive a penalty to speed but increase their deflection. I could give him the buckler too. It's going to lower his accuracy a whole lot. But that outworn buckler, weapon and shield. How about just superior deflection? Just 5 deflection. I think that's what we'll go with, actually. Apprentice's sneak attacks. Allows the character to imitate the brutal opportunistic strikes of a rogue sneak attack, taking advantage of opponents when they're at their most vulnerable. 15% melee and range damage. Apprentice's sneak attack. Yeah, maybe we'll get sneak attacks. I think that'd be pretty cool. Go with that. Level 6 druid. Bonk bonk. Now, what I want to do is can't access the stash, huh? We can't take that out. Oh, we can because we're in a city, right? So it is going to lower his accuracy from 68. All right, it has to be used by a paladin. Dang, flab it. Okay. Then, yeah, I guess we're good. We Gucci. Get Apprentice's sneak attacks. I think that's a pretty good move. And then we have a dare. Let's see what he's got. Survival. He's got 8 points. He's got a bit of lore and athletics. Bonus damage versus flanked enemies. Get another point of athletics for a higher second wind. We'll save 4 points for survival next time. Bonus knockdown is pretty cool. Wary defender. Increases the fighter's awareness while in defender mode, granting a bonus to fortitude, reflexes, and will. +5 all defenses except deflection. 2 enemies engaged. -5 deflection. Deflection. Probably give him. He's gonna forever be. Yeah, he has sword and shield already, I think. Unstoppable. Arms bearer. Spirit of Decay, plus 5 damage reduction, corrode, 20% corrode damage. What if we were to give him Flail, Estoc, Poleaxe, Wand, and Warbow? No. Might give him Savage Attack, minus 5 accuracy for 20% melee damage. Bonus knockdown, uses +1. That is nice. Wary Defender. Not sure it's why it's minus 5 deflection. Plus 5 all defenses. Versus more damage. Let's give him Wary Defender, I think. Let's see, though. A lot of different ways we can go, even Gallant's Focus. I'm going to go Savage Attack. It's Modal. 20% extra damage, minus 5 accuracy. I think that's a good way to go. Savage Attack, so let's click it there. Turn on Savage Attack Modal. Oh, can only have one Modal at a time. Right? I did not know that. Dang. Did I save after talking with the statue? Yeah, I leveled up. So with Dare, get a point of athletics. Might want to go Wary Defender. Plus 5 all defenses except deflection. We'll go Wary Defender. It's pretty good. So if we look at his care sheet now, he's got serious reflex and fortitude saves. Crazy deflection. Good accuracy. Okay, he's good to go. Alright, Farman's Curse. Probably want to sell that too, just so, or we can stash it. Potion of Fleet Feet. 2 potions of minor recovery. Why not those? Scroll of Defense, plus 20 all defenses for 20 seconds. This tightly wound scroll describes the means by which to cast a broad enchantment of protection upon one's allies. Oh, huge area of effect. Though it requires all to stand within the circle of its influence in order to benefit from it, the spell greatly increases one's ability to ward off attacks by raising their reflexes as well as providing magical resistance against harm. And Nereid's Grimoire. Are we going to learn any of these spells? Mirrored Image, Spirit Shield, Eldritch Aim. Probably not. Sirica's Grimoire, Draining Touch. If we look at level 3, we don't even have 4 spells learned for level 3 yet. Crackling Bolt. Let's go with Console Hot's Draining Touch. Caster's hand becomes a toxic parasite, causing corrosive damage to the target, weakening it and converting its life force to the caster's endurance, accuracy plus 10 versus fortitude. Weaken for 26 seconds, drains 31.8 corrode damage as endurance. That'll be good for him in melee. 300 copper, we'll learn it. Eldritch Aim and Parasitic Staff creates a glowing quarterstaff of pure energy, giving the wizard endurance with each successful hit and a bonus chance to hit. And if we look at spell level 1, we have plenty of spells. But maybe we can learn that. Only 100 copper. So we can stash both of these. We'll keep Nereid's out, but we'll stash Sirica's. And here we have a book, Adira Customs. Some different traps. Tattered note. That's something to do in Andra's gift. Alright, so I should about wrap it up here. Yep. Want to thank you guys for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Before we head down to the sanitarium, well, no, this will probably end Brackenbury by going down to the sanitarium. So next time we'll do that. We'll head down. Hope you guys will join me for that as we confront Modred or whatever. Try to get his grimoire back. Once we do that, we'll head back to Copper Lane to sell some stuff and see if we can buy a magic item or something equivalent. So, hope you enjoyed, guys. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. If you really enjoyed and want to help the channel out, you can become a member. The information's in the description along with the pertinent links, such as my Patreon and stuff like that. Feel free to check that out if interested, and I hope you guys will return next time. We're just getting started. 55 episodes in, that's usually how it goes in these super uber epic CRPGs, so definitely much more to come. Until then, be well, live well, stay well. Much love, peace, and joy. And I will catch you guys in the next Pillars video. Lots more to come. Lots more to enjoy. See you guys then. Ciao for now.